It's the final sprint to November, and it looks like Kamala will be sticking to her hide from the press game plan. After granting only one softball interview, Harris is cooking up a fresh play to dodge the media. The old "I can't hear you" headphones trick. The VP was spotted rocking a pair of white earbuds, totally ignoring a bunch of reporters yesterday. She probably wants to dodge questions about how her polling honeymoon's gone cold, and that DNC bump never came through. Harris now seems to be sweating over the race.
It's going to be a tight race to the very end. So let's not pay too much attention to those polls. Because as unions and labor knows best, we know what it's like to be the underdog. And we are the underdog in this race. And we have some hard work then ahead of us.
Kamala's also dragging out the guy she helped throw under the bus. Joe Biden's making his big comeback to the campaign trail after 2 weeks of living it up like the beach bum in chief.
Made a lot of progress, and Kamala and I are going to build on that progress, and she's going to build on it.
We're not going back. And instead, we fight for a future where no person has to go broke just because they get sick. And so, building on the work of President Joe Biden and I and the work we have done in the White House, we will continue to strengthen the Affordable Care Act and make prescription drugs affordable for all Americans.
Kamala is pulling out all this stop with an old Democrat classic, the fake accent. Watch this.
You better thank a union member for paid leave. You better thank a union member for vacation time. Thank unions for sick leave. Thank unions for paid family leave. Thank unions for your vacation time.
All right, Dana, I'll start with you. 63 days left. Race is largely unchanged right now. No overall bounce from the DNC. Has Kamala Harris reached her limit?
Well, maybe not her limit, but I do think that in the last 2 weeks she is losing airspeed and altitude. And that's why she knows that she's smart to say she's the underdog. At this point, if I were Trump, I'd say I was the underdog too, because I think they could both could plausibly say that. You think of all the media help that she gets, and she's still the underdog, right? So, and it's still tied. I like how Politico put it that because Trump is up when you look at the path to 270 in the Electoral College, and she's up in the national average, that it's like a knife fight in a phone booth. So here we go with more fighting analogies. But I think it's smart for her to go ahead and do it that way. The polls are going to be what they are. I do think it's kind of funny coming out of Labor Day weekend. Everybody was home or visiting wherever they were, and they come back from whatever individual bubble they were in, and they come back and say, nobody I know is voting for Kamala Harris, or nobody I know is voting for Donald Trump, and they think that that is evidence. And the truth is, it's a tied race at this point. I'm also very interested in the last thing I'll say is, at this point in these last few days, you want to see who's going to win the news cycle every day. Today, I'm not really sure. I'm going to have to see at the end of the day, because it doesn't feel like anyone's really driving today. But you look at where are they going, where are they spending their time and their money. So before Biden went out of the race, Trump had put New Jersey and Virginia and maybe Minnesota at least within reach for the Republicans to win, for him to win. The Democrats seem to think that when Kamala Harris came into being the nominee, that was off the table. But this week, they're going to Minnesota, New Jersey, and Virginia. Why? Why not go to the battleground states where there's 6 or 7 of those, pick them, and there's only 63 days left, so you want to spend all the time that you can in a certain place. So they're going to those places but to shore things up. I'm not exactly sure. But the other big important date is not 63 days from now. At this moment, it's 7 days from tonight when you'll have the first debate.
That's right. And you know what, Jesse, we saw Kamala going up on, I guess, her airplane, whatever it's called, the vice president's plane, and she had earplugs in. So it's argued that so she wouldn't have to talk to reporters. It's kind of like New Yorkers. We put them in just to keep out the noise.
Exactly.
Does she see the press as just unnecessary noise?
Well, if you have the AirPods in, you don't need the phone up by your head, which you had. I'm not a techie, but I know that. I don't know if you know this, Judge, but it's going to be a sprint until November. Next 2 months are going to be wild.
Everyone should be penalized for every time they say that.
I can feel it. The air is cooler. NFL's starting to kick off.
College football.
We got dead people getting ballots mailed to them in Chicago. It is on. It is on. Now, this ABC poll says they have no bounce, but who cares what ABC said? They had Joe Biden winning by 8 before the last election. They had Joe Biden winning by 15 in Wisconsin before the last election. I look at betting markets now, and I look at Nate Silver. Honestly, Judge, I only look at the stuff that makes me think Trump's going to win. And right now, both of them look like Trump's going to win, and so I'll be citing those. I'll also be citing Johnny's packages, which to me are better than any polling. She's like the new kid in school. You remember when you get that one kid that transfers to your high school, and all of a sudden they're really hot because they're new, and then once you get to know them, they kind of just fizzle out? That was me. But it's how America feels about Kamala Harris. She says we're going to fight for a future where no person has to go broke just because they go sick. This country's more broke and sick than ever. This country's healthcare premiums are up, incomes are down. We've never had more overdoses. We've never had more depression. We've never had more obesity than ever before in the history of this country. So she says we don't want to go back. I do. I want to go back where we had more money and less migrants. I want to go back to when we had food industry people not poisoning us and then the pharmaceutical companies not selling us fake pills to cure us. That's the country I like. So if we have to go back to that, that's fine. Still worried about what Kamala Harris believes? Doesn't matter what she believes. She's actually not really supposed to believe anything. This is about the machine versus Donald Trump. If she says something that she believes, like she said about the price controls, that'll get her smacked down. She's not allowed to have an opinion. She's not going to make any decisions as president. And that's what everybody realizes. So Trump should just run against a rigged system. That's how he beat crooked, and that's how he can beat Kamala Harris.
You know, Harold, no convention bounce, but Trump is up in the swing states on inflation, immigration, the economy, and Hamas, whereas she's up in terms of race, health care, and abortion. Is that enough for her to win? Now that all the Democrats have come home to her, the ones who weren't voting for Biden, she's got the base back. But is the base plus race, health care, and abortion enough?
It might be. Good to be back. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. I know you did.
I missed you so much, Harold.
I mean, I called you a lot. You didn't return any of my calls.
I didn't return your calls.
You did return my calls.
That's right.
The polls are tight. The polls are going to remain tight. I'd say a couple things around it. Dana and I were talking a little earlier. This debate, we can't overstate its importance. Mm-hmm. The knife fight in the phone booth analogy, the metaphor that you used, which really speaks to the point you made and the points around how few voters in several states are thinking about this. I would quarrel with Politico in one regard. You pointed out those states that they're going to. They're widening the map, which I think is a good thing. Now, we will look at that and say, well, that means the Democrats may be running scared in those Democratic states. Trump is having to go to some states that lean Republican. I think it's a great thing for the country when not just 6 states have a final say in all of this. As a part of the polling piece and the very closeness, I think a lot of people now, we on the East Coast, our kids are going back to school this week. My kids will go back till Thursday. I think people will pay attention to this more so than before. But 1 week from today, whichever one of these candidates is able to lay out in a succinct, in a serious, in an amplified way what he or she will do to make the economy better, what he or she will do to make our borders safer, that will be the candidate that gets the advantage as we come out of this. Now, I would differ with you a little bit, Jesse, about going backwards. I think if you look at our country today, we're more innovative, we are smarter, more people have health care, We have bigger companies and more important companies doing things across the globe than any other country does. Now, we have our share of challenges, there's no doubt. You mentioned some of the dysfunction in family and in our schools and what that is breeding. Dana and I talked about this earlier, too. Someone has to talk about education in a more serious way than we've talked about it. And the one thing we don't talk about, you don't hear any of the candidates talking about, is the debt. We talk about it when it's convenient for our argument, then we move right on when we have to talk about solutions. We have a $36 trillion debt, and at some point that will catch up with all of us. Finally, this whole notion of we won't go back, it's going to be interesting to see which one of the candidates, where you're right, Jesse, is which one of the candidates can crystallize that issue more. Will President Trump be able to say to the American people, I'll take you back to what I did, which he thinks was great, and will she be able to say, I won't allow him to take us back to when we have fewer rights? To me, that's the axis I'm going to be looking for, the rhetorical and substantive axis during this debate. And we have a week now to see what happens.
Interesting question, Greg. Take us back to when we had fewer rights, or maybe look at the reality of what's going on today in the Harris-Biden administration.
Well, you know what? If she made a statement like that, a decent reporter will go, what do you mean by that? Can you give me an example of a right that you won't have? Can you give me a right that a woman has that a man doesn't have? Are you referring to Roe v. Wade when he took it away from the government and gave it to the states, got it closer to women so they can make up their minds? He said, I want nothing to do with this. You guys figure it out. That's what most men feel. Honestly, about abortion, let the women figure it out. So if you're a woman, a feminist, pro-choicer, talk to other women and persuade them. It's not Trump's business. Look, this campaign is a self-driving car, like you said, and the car only drives if Kamala keeps her hands off the wheel and just looks ahead. The moment that she touches a button or a lever, the car veers off the road into reality. By the way, that is a real accent of suburban Canada. I don't think you know that, but they have a big hip-hop community in suburban Canada. Look up Snow. Remember Snow? Forget it. And by the way, the Democrats are happy that there was no bump from the convention, because usually the polls drop every time Kamala opens her mouth. So the fact that it didn't drop is a success. You know what? If it gets worse, she should drop out of the race, because she did that in 2020, and look where that got her. She could actually become president by dropping out of the race. But it is amazing to me how the press has every single thing Trump has ever said at their fingertips. They can throw it out there, but somehow they don't have any interest in anything that Kamala has said in the past. You know, you'll see it on X, these comical, deranged gems where she's agreeing with reparations with Al Sharpton. That should be brought up. Yep. That's from 2019. That's a big deal. You cannot have a president who laughs and says, of course, that's just deranged. But yet somehow that's not a matter of conversation. That should be a debate question. How do you feel now? How easy is that a question? How do you feel now about reparations? Do you think you should punish people who are alive now for the sins of ancestors? Very simple question.
You know how they have those polls where it says unnamed Democrat beats Donald Trump by like 20 points? She's trying to run as an unnamed Democrat.
Yeah, her slogan should have been, I'm not Joe. Right now, she's, I'm not Trump, and I don't think it's going to work.
No,
Interesting. All right. Up next, Gold Star families are defending President Trump after Kamala smears his visit to Arlington National Cemetery.
Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.